Eya nguvu selinda la langula chilo. Oke boze tulive na kuyalelo devyo baye. Amita pendwa ya vintu ifisume vyoza kula kuibukisha. Tanate pochimo wimbo wa temenu wa katongi. Abazunga wajita katongi na kula kuibukisha kateka. Kaibuku muna kapona neseko siove pameso. Yangu ama umebaya Iyaba baba ume. Iyaba baba ume.
Kateka wabantu twakulila lelo twakulila shika kukonke milimo shove
Ale filamba yena minta pengosile eti kume mokula ndolole abale lilo wingi
iseko wingi mwakwete iseso wingi mwakwete mwaya mwende wino tata wesu
katushi muchi wakege wali bomba kale lomba mwatu katuleli lake Mupanga chiba
penda upanga mwine oya mwine ide dalila
Lungu ya mama ume ala nacho mwabye mama
That song always plays, as an intro to my program because we haven't put to rest the late president. I've considered that the last 3 months remains a period of mourning for many Zambians locally and abroad. That's why we always preview that song, and I'm very grateful to Frank Kadonki and his team. We've literally owned this song without paying anything, without paying any rights to it, but it has become part of our program. And we're eternally grateful to Frank for moving the nation with this song. There was an update yesterday. The matter came before the court, the High Court of Gauteng in South Africa. It rejected the application for the family of the late President Edgar Lungu for them to appeal. It is understood that the ones that made that suspicious ruling that the body, that the family has to comply with the request of the state. So it is just expected that they will try to protect and ring-fence their judgment, no matter how suspicious. But the family has since lodged in an appeal. It's in the Supreme Court. On the other side, there are negotiations that have continued to take place. They were led by Secretary to Cabinet Patrick Kangwa and his team. And on the other side, Honorable Makebi Zulu and the family, they have moved to the next stage where they've appointed mediators to this impasse, disregarding what is happening in court. I think all the parties are determined to find an amicable settlement. And you have seen that we've commented on this matter very, very little. Even most of my guests have not even attempted to ask the question, because I'm aware of what's happening in the background. There have been these negotiations, even to reach at a place where they've had literally to agree, now moving to the next stage of mediators. There are bridges that had to be built, hope that had to be brought in, and suspicions that had to be discarded. A lot of work, thanks to Secretary to Cabinet Patrick Kangwa, Makebi Zulu, and the family. On the other hand, they have done a wonderful job so far to try to bridge the difference. And our prayer is that let us minimize comments on this matter. Let us minimize the hostility just from both sides to allow for this process, because this matter can be locked in court for many years. You lose, you appeal. You lose, you appeal. You can lose to the Supreme Court. You go to the Constitutional Court. It can be, a standoff can continue for a long time. So when you see that we are commenting less, it's because we are aware of the work that is being done in the background. And also there is, remember, there's trust that has to be built from both sides. Each one will say you can't rely on them. No, they're playing games. Each side may accuse each other of that. That is why it is important that we let that process that is taking place take place. So, but the latest is that the family has since gone to the Supreme Court to appeal against the decision to stop them from appealing in the Supreme Court. A matter that should just be procedural in nature. Today, Wednesday, 17th September, we're privileged to host my dear brother. He's back on the program. You asked for him. You demanded that he should come. We are hosting Muhabi Lungu. He's just been newly elected as Secretary General of the Zambia We Want political party. And they have a unique way in which they are doing things, almost the American way, but the horse is here. We hear it from the horse's mouth. But there's something disturbing that occurred last night. And I've just received even a longer video. Engineer Emon Mwemba has been caught in a recording. He heads RATSA. He also sits on the RDA board by virtue that he's CEO for RATSA. He is recorded talking about how they should entrench Tongas at RATSA. He's being caught how he will abuse his office to ensure that he appoints gatekeepers who should promote tribalism at RATSA. It's very unfortunate. It's not a matter. We all regret that we should be talking about tribalism 61 years later after independence and after the work that President Kenneth Kaunda did. But President Hakainde Hichilema has been accused of tribal appointments, regional promotion, and he's given key positions to either his tribesmate, or now here is a key evidence of a very senior officer who superintends over a constitutional office. RATSA is an act of parliament, is a CEO, and is promoting tribalism. And just now, before I went on air, I've been given another recording that's even longer. The one we got is 4 minutes, 41 seconds. But we now have another one that is, I think, longer, 8 or 9 minutes. But I haven't had time to listen to all of it. But here is a summary of the one we have so far. I might play the other one at the end of the program. So before I invite Muhabi Lungu, because I want his comments on this matter, on the Conversation podcast, and when he was here last time, he condemned tribalism, and he spoke in glorious ways how Dr. Kaunda had attempted to really unite our country out of all the 73 tribes. So I'll ask him, but let's play Engineer Emon Mwemba promoting tribalism at RATSA.
The mathematician. So I issued an instruction with Muna. He's got a distinction in mathematics. So I'm number 2. So I asked Madam Chira, I didn't want to interfere. You see, me, I can't interfere directly with the recruitment. So the one who have Chira, that no guy, no, the one who came second star, first star is this one. What would you part? So I called after Madam Chira. I said, okay. I called Mona. That Mona, and I'm the one. You know, this guy. I don't know him, but he brought his certificates early this year to me. And then me and Mona, before Chilara started or everything, me and Mona looked at his CV. It was brilliant. So Mona travel to recruit for Waganchere. Make sure. So now I'm going to remind him, that's the guy I'd forgotten. So he went there and he sorted it out. Go, you know.
Abantu bali bali mu community ya strategic report bandira ndiye ngokuyamba then abo bikama max bonke banobikira yuli amapati kutega omwaka eko mundula good record
planning and monitoring officer buli Baganchere nongo wewe yawe
chia taloba achirembera kandi chinga mwali
imagine. No, they come on there. They said, Mona, with this one we're not leaving. We're going to move it. So they demoted the one who was number 1 to number 2. Oga once was the into it. Then I'm on the list.
Oh, it's a petition.
But would you part, no, then you part. I said, Madam, look at that list. What's wrong with it? But it's okay, sir. So,
are you sure?
Yeah, so Ndamba, are you okay with that list, madam? But these are the ones that were shortlisted. Ndamba, madam, look at the names. Zambia doesn't come from the east and the west and the north alone. That's when she looked again. Ndamba, I didn't realize that. So she took the list. I said, no. I said, you know what, madam, Zambia is more diverse than that, and I'm not signing off something like that. I'm tolo. So she took the file away last week. Ramba will have a look again. And I know that list was
Mona used this car. He's for range. That's how we went. So Ramba madam
Oh, is that so?
For sure.
Oh. Okay, but that's why he's there, Mona, to make sure that everything is sorted out. Because they will consolidate. Yes. No, that one I'll make sure that we will. What's her name? You know that the 2 officers now that are there, once in Batok, the HR officers, Jijila Rabanda, Amuga Intuani,
that one
will be key. Yeah, no, I will make sure. I will reject until they get the right person.
Yes.
But wherever we have to lock it, I would say you, we need somebody.
That's a very important department. Nishi one man actually gonna uli kumena muntu wakumbwa mahwa muntu amwambira fakani ponya ukubweka kinani fakani
the one who was orchestrating Blimaliste and Jagarete de Mahunze Nguni Hoy. There's no one. In fact,
let me bring my dear special guest today, Honorable Muhabi Lungu. As you can hear from that audio, the engineer, Emon Mwemba, is even saying that now he has ensured that there are 2 human resource officers who are Tonga to ensure that this doesn't happen. There has been a process where the Road Safety, Transport and Safety Agency advertised and Zambians responded, and the team at RATSA shortlisted those that were the best and, submitted the shortlist to the chief executive officer, and he rejects them because he suspects there's no Tonga. I don't know if you nowadays you can tell by name alone where people come from, but that's one of the issues, and is entrenching tribalism by saying even as two key positions in human resource to ensure that this doesn't happen again, and is even hinting at someone he has demoted. I was outraged when I heard to this audio, and I expected by now President Hakainde Hichilema must have moved in. But Muhabi Lungu, welcome and congratulations for your election. Congratulations for the thought that you started this unity that resulted with your other colleagues into the Zambia we want. And the Zambia we want is in the process of electing its leadership, and they've picked you as Secretary General. We are proud of that because we know that your thoughts of unity will come to the fore. But before we come to that, just your comments on Engineer Emon Mwemba. Like I said, he's the CEO at the Road Safety, Transport and Safety Agency, RATSA. He also sits on the Road Development Agency Board because of his legal position as RATSA CEO.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Ambassador, for inviting me to the program once again. And of course, let me also say thank you to the many people who requested that I return. I'm humbled, I'm honored, I'm very grateful for your invitation. I'm also grateful to my colleagues who elected me as Secretary General of the party. And I hope that we will be working together with all of them, those who voted for me and those who didn't. The elections are over in my case, and I hope that we'll be working together. I'm determined to make sure that we succeed. But as you said, maybe we can get into that a little bit later. Let me make a comment on this video I have just heard, and I think that I would like to say three things. The first thing that I want to communicate is that it is extremely difficult and painful for me to be discussing a subject such as this. Because every time that the circumstances ask you to begin to talk about a discussion regarding tribalism, you think about who you may be offending inadvertently when you don't want to offend. As you know, Ambassador, I am married to a Southerner. My wife is Lenje solely from the mother's side, and she is a Tonga Ila from the father's side. My own daughter is married to someone from Southern Province, and therefore my grandson is a Southerner stroke Easterner, whatever you may wish to call it. And so when you delve in matters like this as Zambians, you are always, stepping on burning coal, because you might say something that may look like you are in fact talking about your own family. And I think that that is very sad. So I wanted to say that first. This is very painful to discuss. The second issue I wanted to say is that you said in your opening remark that you were outraged. And I would like to say that I was outraged myself. Unfortunately, I can't say that I'm outraged. I would like to say that I was shocked at hearing what is being discussed on this audio, because it is a matter of shock, or it's a shocking matter. But it has been happening so frequently, particularly in this administration in the last 4 years, that for me it has ceased to be shocking, it has ceased to be outrageous, it has just now become sad and disappointing and emotionally draining that there are people in this country that can think the way that this gentleman is thinking. That there are people in this country who are discussing these matters in such detail and with no remorse and with no tact about what is important about unifying this country, that it appears to be normal to them. And this is very, very sad for me, for my country. Thirdly, however, the fact that many of these so-called secret discussions are leaking out to the public, is in itself an indicator that there are still a lot of people in this country who disagree with this sort of philosophizing, or who disagree with this sort of perspective in terms of the country. And I think that I would like to hang my hope on that particular revelation, that there are still people who want it out there so that we may be able to deal with it. So these are the three things I would like to say. I think it's very sad. And it is one of the reasons why, when you had asked me why we needed opposition unity last time I was on the show, I had indicated that we are facing an existential crisis in our country. And one of those existential crises is the fact that the current UPND administration has divided us as the Zambian people like no other administration has done. And if we allow this to continue, and if we allow them to win the elections in 2026, I am afraid with their belief that there is nothing to stop him now for the next 5 years, they will even be more brazen to do things like this. The president himself, who is aware of what is going on and is actually promoting it, as we discussed last time, by that video which was leaked when he was complaining about people hating him and asking the reasons why people are hating him, and again, in a very clever way, trying to claim victimization as a Southerner. If we don't defeat them in these next elections, and when I say them, I don't mean Tongas, I don't mean Bembas, I mean the government of the UPND, who has decided to make one of the issues upon which they should be elected a grievance, that others have had it too good when they were excluded. So that is my comment on that, Ambassador. It is really, really sad and disappointing.
Indeed, it is sad, and some of the whistleblowers even told us that today the CEO was attempting to threaten, trying to establish who leaked the audio. It's like he doesn't see anything wrong with what he said, and now he's trying to victimize, threatening them with these new cyber laws that, do you know that recording illegally is a serious offense, and that you'll be arrested. That is why immediately there is such a thing, government is supposed to suspend, so that no further damage is done to the institution and to the people around that institution as investigations go on. Let's come to the middle of it. Walk us through what's happening with Zambia, the Zambia we want. I heard an announcement from Mr. Ernest Mwansa when he was last year, and he informed me, even Honorable Bob Schinga informed me, that there was a process that will start and may culminate by 17th. You might have finished this process of electing leadership. Just walk us through. All we have is you as Secretary General, and congratulations. How are you doing it? How is this conference being held? Who are the delegates? What are the parameters? How is the structure?
Thank you very much again, Ambassador. Yes. Yeah, we are very strong on constitutionalism. And when we established this, first of all, when we started discussing establishment of this party 2 years ago, all of us had to understand and agree that there were certain issues in the Zambian history as it regards political parties and institutions that we thought we had made many mistakes in terms of trying to consolidate those institutions. So what we decided to do is to learn from the mistakes of the past and try to avoid all of those mistakes that causes a party that loses government, for example, like UNIP, to die, or a party that loses government, the MMD, to die, in the sense that they lose all of their seats in the House and in the councils. And we wanted to create an organization which would not be dependent on any single one individual. We wanted to create an organization which was governed by rules and regulations. And we wanted to create an institution for which the selection process was free, fair, transparent, and open to the public. And in hope that if we can follow through on these regulations, which are contained in our manifesto, in our constitution, And this constitution is free to the public, and we have distributed it widely, that even after we are gone, those of us who have regarded us as founders are gone, that the organization will continue to live on the basis of its belief system. So in terms of the process that we have started now, we have staggered it in 3 phases. So the first elections, which happened yesterday, were that of the chairman of the party, who is head of the party, and the secretary general of the party, who is the chief executive of the party. In our party, the presidential candidate or the president is not the head of the party. In most of the political parties in Zambia, the head of the party is the presidency. We have made demarcation, and we have made the presidential candidate only a candidate who will be the flag bearer of the party in as far as the elections are concerned. But in terms of running and administering the party, it is the chairman and the secretary general, and then the National Leadership Council. So these elections were scheduled for yesterday, and we had a bit of a, I would say, a mishap in terms of the elections of the chair, but we went ahead and elected the secretary general. So I won those, and as I said, I'm very grateful to my colleagues. Who are the delegates? According to our constitution, the National Leadership Council is composed of 66 members of the executive committee. As of now, we have filled about 40 of those, 40 out of the 66. And those were the delegates to the convention. Now, obviously, again, our constitution, there is a convention which is composed of members of the National Executive Council, the National Leadership Council, and then there is a Congress, which is composed of districts, provinces, constituencies, up to the ward. That will be held in 2 years' time, which will then be valid for the next 5 years. But because of the proximity to the elections, we decided to go by the way of the convention, in which the members of the National Executive Committees are the one that select the leadership. And this is provided for in our constitution. So it's not something that we dreamt up, it's something that is provided for in our constitution. So on Friday, on Thursday tomorrow, the nominations for the presidency will close. They were opened on Sunday. And the nominations for the presidency, as well as the other positions in the National Leadership Council, will close tomorrow. And then on Monday, we will have a peer review of all those who have successfully applied to become presidential candidates. And again, that is a requirement according to our rules, because we thought that it was very important to do this peer review. After the peer review, on Tuesday, the 23rd of September, we will then have elections for the National Leadership Council. After those elections have been finished in the morning, in the afternoon, we will have the elections now for the presidential candidate. Once we select a presidential candidate out of those who will have applied, the president of the presidential candidate will then nominate 3 names to be considered for elections for the running mate. So even in this regard, we didn't want the president to choose a running mate. We wanted the president to nominate 3 people who he would become, or she would be comfortable with, to work with, and then the National Leadership Council will then elect out of those 3 who should be the running mate. And then after that has been done, then we will have completed the process, and we will start to operate. So that is the process that we have started. It's very transparent. It is very open. The whole electoral process is being conducted by an ad hoc independent electoral commission, which does not come from the Zambia we want. We wrote to organizations such as the Law Association of Zambia, to Caritas, to JCTR, to Transparency International, and those who responded are the ones who have formed the the Electoral Commission. So they are on their own. We've got nothing to do with the process, but the whole issue is being done very transparently. We've actually got ballot papers which have been printed with names, just as it is in the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Nothing to do with blank papers with serial numbers. So if anybody wants to dispute, you can follow the whole issue. We thought that we needed this level of transparency in order to have legitimacy for all of those who will be elected, so that no one can say, I have made myself the Secretary General, I've made myself the presidential candidate, etc., etc. So this is what we are in the process of doing.
American style, the presidential candidate is not the leader of the political party. The chairperson appears to be the leader.
Yes, in a sense, it's very similar to the American system, yes, but the inspiration is not the American system. It is similar, but the inspiration is not the American system. The inspiration for us is very much local. And the reason for that is because we have observed that the executive branch of government in this country is too powerful. And it is not beholden to anybody. So that anyone who is then elected as a president feels that they owe it to nobody. They can do whatever they want. And it's so powerful that when someone is in State House, they can do whatever they want to the extent that nobody is prepared to challenge them, not the legislature, not the judiciary. And as a result of his untouchability in terms of scrutiny, what happens is when the Zambian president leaves office, then all of those people who he or she annoyed, all of those people who he gave instructions to do illegal things, who could not answer to them or while they were in prison, all of those begin to bring up all of these cases about what they were able to do when they were in power. And now that they are out of power and they have no institutions of state to protect them, then you see a situation where all of our former heads of state are then now punished by the public, by those who they were working with, by the opponents who think that they were punished. So this happened to Kenneth Kaunda. This happened, as you know, to President Chilua. This has happened to President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. We think that the reason that happens is that the office of the presidency is too strong. So we have said to ourselves, this is what we will do once we get into power. And again, it is contained in our manifesto, that within 3 years of us getting into power, should the Zambian people give us an opportunity, whether we go in it as a single party, but more likely that we will be able to go in it as part of a united opposition, that we must have a constitution designed by the people, approved by the people, through a referendum within the first 3 years of governance. But in order to prove to ourselves and to the Zambian people that we mean what we say, we thought that charity begins at home, and that sort of behavior, that sort of belief in principle must be evident even within our political party, so that we are not pretending. I mean, you can't be a dictator in your own house and claim to be a Democrat in other people's houses. You cannot claim to be a fair-minded person with small things which have been entrusted to you, and when bigger things have been entrusted to you, you cannot claim that you will do a better job than when you did when you were alone. So that is the reasons why we thought it was very important that we live up to what we say we are. And so I think that so far so good. I'm very proud of my colleagues, people who have been working together, that we have been able to achieve this.
The last time you were here, you gave us a criteria. You painted a picture of the opposition divided, and how it was imperative that they should be united. But there's some remarks that you made to the press that appeared antagonistic to your colleagues, that appeared negative to your colleagues, that were translated to appear to be like an attack on the opposition, yet you are a senior member of the opposition. I want you to clear the air. And I should preface these remarks that I was excited when I saw you with Citizen First President Harry Kalaba over lunch. That was very good in itself, because I think he was one of those whose remarks could have been directed to appear offensive. Yeah,
again, thank you for that question. I must first preface by saying that you know that I do not believe in extremes. In all of my life, I believe in balance. I believe that all forms of extremes are dangerous. And because of that belief, I believe that I'm very calculative and I think through what I want to say and what I want to do. And in this regard, all of the statements that I have issues regarding the promotion of opposition unity has always been, first of all, within a particular context. And what has happened is that sometimes the press and sometimes those who want to paint my statement as being antagonistic have taken out of context. So that is one. So I will always say things like, if the opposition do not get together, this will happen. Or I will say, given the circumstances as they are now, the possible outcome would be this. And all of these statements have always been qualified. And I think the last time I was here, one of the things I talked about was the issue of, as of now, there is no contender. The UPND media team decided to take those comments and create an impression as if I was saying that there is nobody in the opposition who's got the qualification, the stature, or the experience to defeat HH, which is not what I said. I talked about a contender. And just to put it in context, if you recall, Ambassador Mwamba, I had referred to President HH as the current heavyweight champion of the world. In the Zambian case, let me say he's a current heavyweight champion of Zambia. And that it was in that context that I said, as of now, meaning at that particular time, that we didn't have a contender. Now, if you look at the meaning of a contender within the context of the boxing analogy, a contender is one that has been able to improve their ranking through fighting many other fighters in order for them to be a contender for the heavyweight champion. It doesn't mean that none of the boxers that are on the scene do not have the power, do not have the experience, do not have the knowledge to defeat the heavyweight champion. It means that there has been no selection process to identify one person as the most willing in order to challenge that person. That is the context in which I use that. Now, again, in the boxing analogy, if there are many heavyweights carrying many different belts, and of those particular belts, they don't know who should be able to be the contender to the heavyweight, what they do is they have bouts which unify all of those various belts. And once those belts have been unified, then the person who is the unified of those belts become the contender. And so within the context of the political system, what I was saying is that as of now, the Zambian we want does not have a leader. As of now, the PF had not selected a leader. There were 1 or 2 or 3 political parties who have already selected. But because all of us were discussing this issue about having a unified flag bearer, we had not gone through the process of uniting the belts so that we can have one contender to challenge HH. So it was in that context that that comment was made, and then it was taken out of context to give the impression that I was saying that there was nobody in the opposition that was capable. The truth of the matter is that there are many people in the opposition that by themselves are much better in terms of experience, in terms of governance, in terms of education that can defeat HH resoundingly if the terms and conditions of the bouts are fair. So I think that is one of the clarifications. Now, the thing that led to my having a meeting with my brother, President Harry Kalawa, was because I think of a misunderstanding resulting from an article I wrote way back in February, which was looking at how difficult it is for one single candidate to become president. And I think that there was some misunderstanding, not from my brother Harry, but from some of the individuals who were supporting him. And as a result of that, we decided to meet. In fact, I must say to you that it was Brother Harry who actually reached out to me and said, "Brother, let us talk." And I said, "Look, I'm always prepared to talk to a brother." And we sat. We had tea actually in the morning, and it was just the two of us. And we had a very cordial meeting, and we were both very candid to each other about what our feelings and our concerns were. He raised his, I raised mine. And at the end of the day, we all agreed that it was a desirable thing for all of us to have some form of unification and working together as the opposition. And he told me the time frame which he was thinking about. I was able to share some of the time frames we have been discussing, and we came to the conclusion that this was workable, that we could all work together at some point soon. And we agreed to allow the past be the past, and start on a new page. And we have done so. We're in contact with each other, as I am with many of the other colleagues in the other political parties. So it's done, it's the past. We move forward to ensure that we can realize the dream of a united opposition political party, to be able to ensure that we challenge these things that we've been discussing so that our country can see a new day.
That is a maturity we need, and that's the maturity Zambians are calling upon. We do not want a bickering, quarreling opposition. I think it only benefits the ruling party, then, who pit us against one another, and it becomes a disservice to the people of Zambia. So well done for that engagement you did with Brother Harry Kalaba. I'm looking at the elections in Malawi. We are yet to know the winner.
Yeah.
But the build-up is probably something you've been watching too. First of all, there was a lot of mistrust and distrust around the Electoral Commission, the Malawi Electoral Commission, MEC. And there have been various rulings by the courts, I think, taken by stakeholders and opposition parties. For example, they rejected some form of electronic voting or electronic counting or electronic submission of results. They insisted that Malawi should go back to its manual counting system at polling stations. Are you watching the Malawi elections? I draw this analogy because we seem to be going to elections with the Electoral Commission of Zambia, where there is zero trust, where there are cadres heading that institution, and where their recent actions against the opposition have not been favorable. What are your thoughts about the Malawian elections and compared to ourselves here?
Yeah, I have been watching the Malawian elections quite closely. And one of the reasons why it's always good to watch the Malawian elections is that for some reason there is an inexplicable synergy and symbiosis between Malawi and Zambia. Particularly as it regards elections. What seems to happen in Zambia seems to always happen in Malawi. What happens in Malawi in terms of the trends seems to be very close to what happens in Zambia. So anyone in the political space would always want to watch what happens in Malawi. And clearly, I think that Malawi has had some very important scores in terms of having the courts decide to be bold enough and brave enough to ensure that there is a level playing field in the political process. And this is not only something that has happened now. If you recall that we even had a nullification of a presidential election of victory in Malawi. And that is how independent the courts in Malawi have been. And apart from what has just happened now, you also do recall that it was because of the independence of the other arms of government in Malawi that we had an external audit done on the register which allowed for the nullification of the presidential elections. So I think that these are very good lessons for us. We, both in the Zambia We Want as well as in the United Opposition Front, have demanded and have requested that we need an external audit of the register. Over and
or it could be power failure by our colleagues at site. Let's see, we'll wait for them. There should be some standby power there, but is power failure there. We'll get back to, they'll get back to me. We are hosting Muhabi Lungu, who's just been elected as Secretary General of of the Zambia we want. And he has taken time. First of all, we started with the audio by engineer Emon Mwemba, where he's clearly promoting tribalism at Ratsa. He's abusing his office. He's even saying he has put 2 officers, from Southern Province to ensure that agenda of promoting tribalism at his workplace is entrenched. And he rejected the selection that was done through an advert where people applied, and he seemed to have taken offense that on the list, from his view, there was no one from Southern Province. I don't know if nowadays you can tell where people come from by mere names. I know for sure that you cannot. And then Muhabi Lungu took time to explain what they've been doing. And I think they are back. I hope they are back. You had some power failure, and you were discussing what you've done with the Electoral Commission of Zambia, and that you've demanded for certain action. Thank you. You can proceed.
I can proceed?
Yeah, you are live.
Okay,
you're
good.
live.
We're I think they're still dealing with some technical issues. I think power went off. So I was saying that we will demand, all of us as a collection of opposition political parties, that there should be an external audit of the register. We think that too many concerns have been raised, and we will not feel safe that the register should be without an audit. In fact, in the meetings that we've had with some of our cooperating partners, the EU, the Americans and others, we have made that as a very strong request, that we are not comfortable with the information that we're picking up. So definitely that is one. There is also an issue to do with the commission itself, and I think that the last time we were here, we did discuss the fact that it is extremely important that all of us who are participating in any game feel that the referees or the umpires or whoever has been tasked with the responsibility to ensure that the rules are being followed has the confidence of all of us. If we don't have that confidence, then obviously it creates room for litigation, it creates room for doubt, and I think that also room for a manipulation for those who don't want to give up power. So I think that we also have to look at whether we feel that the personnel that is manning the Electoral Commission, those that are there now, qualify to be there from the perspective that they are not connected to any of the players, particularly the one in government. And I do know that the UPND themselves, before they got into office, did make recommendations about how to constitute an independent electoral commission. And yet they have went ahead and defied their own proposals. So one of the things that I am going to be pushing as Secretary General of the Zambia We Want is to be able to network with all my colleagues, Secretary Generals in all of the political parties, that we make this an issue. And we will not agree to go to the elections without some of these demands that we are making. Obviously, they may not be met, but we want them to be put on record if we do not succeed. We are not going to boycott. No matter what they do, there will be we will find ways of making sure that the vote is protected, and that the true reflection of the Zambian people will be the result when we go to the elections next year. Are we together?
Let's go to the state of our country. The president has just given his last address to Parliament, the 13th session, and he has given his last address to the 5th session of the 13th Parliament. He gives a hopeful picture, narrates a glorious picture that the country is posting, GDP of up to 5%, is saying we have a bumper harvest, a historical bumper harvest. He states that they've rescheduled debt up to 92%, and the exchange rate is now stable. He says nothing is wrong. Yet our people are suffering the worst load shedding ever. Having 3-4 hours of power, sometimes coming in the deep of the night when they don't need the power. Our people are suffering the worst cost of living crisis. There's just despair everywhere. It looks like we are living in two separate worlds. What was your reflection when you saw the speech by the president to Parliament?
Yeah, first of all, let me admit that I wasn't looking forward to even hearing the speech myself. But I have since read a number of opinions from colleagues who have written things like Dr. Lawrence Mwewa, Mr. Piri, Zephania Piri, and others. And they have given me an indication of what the president was saying. Now, one of the reasons that I was not so excited at listening to it, because I know that this was the last speech of the opening of Parliament, and I know that there is a trend in this country to make the last speech as glorious as possible, hoping that you can deceive the people as to what your achievements have been in the last 4 years. The truth of the matter is there is no amount of waxing or making the book glossy if the content inside is not worthy of that gloss. And I think that even the budget that we are going to be having, I think in 2 weeks' time, will probably take the same tone, a tone which is at variance with the realities that are happening on the ground. Now, this is not just rhetoric. I have always said to my colleagues in the UPND, those who I know, those who are not extremists, who are able to have a conversation with me, and I have pointed out to them that since the 1970s, since 1974, the only time that the country had one of the best indices in terms of economic numbers was the MMD government of President Rupiah Banda in 2011. That year, if you recall, there was a growth rate of 7.3%, I believe, if I recall correctly. There was the highest production of maize than any other time before that. The exchange rate, if you recall, was somewhere to the range of 4.6 to 5 to the dollar. The economy from the indices point of view was booming. And if you recall, I had been working for the Zambia Development Agency at that time. Even the figures regarding domestic investment as well as foreign direct investment were just over the chart. Yet with all of these positive indices in 2011, the people of Zambia decided that they had enough of the MMD, and they voted for Microsat. And the reasons for that are simple. If people see and feel that the so-called touted economic growth and economic prosperity does not affect them, that they are not partakers in that growth, that they cannot justify to their children or to their wives or to their husband that indeed this is having an impact at the domestic level, all of those indices mean nothing to the voter. And as you rightly put it, what is GDP growth to the voter if the voter is now buying a sack of malasha for 200 kwacha? Now, I know that malasha is illegal, okay? But we all know that so many of our people are reliant on malasha. And the cost of malasha has gone over the roof. What is economic growth to them? What is the number of mechanization that has been provided to 9,000 farmers if out of 1.5 million, they feel that they have not been given the correct help in terms of bringing their produce to the market, because many of the rural roads are in a very bad state and you have done very little about those, even with your exaggerated claim that CDF is doing very well, and then you want to start saying that only in the last year will they be these gains. What is the importance of saying that you have brought down the exchange rate when every month you are adjusting the price of fuel, and even if it is 1 quarter less than before, it is still far more than what it was 4 years ago? What is the use of that? What is the use of saying that you have agreed on debt restructuring when you are overtaxing? When you are overtaxing the citizens, a poor old lady decides to buy bonds, government bonds, to cushion her stay as a retiree, and then you increase the withholding tax from 15% to 20% of a senior who has retired, who, when you sold the bond to her at, say, 30%, you told her that that would be to the duration of the bond. Then now you reduce it. It means that when you are advertising to them that the bond is for 30%, it means that it has just dropped to 5%, to 25%. Yet, in the same token, you are giving rebates to foreign-owned companies that they can export their raw materials, and you withdraw the tax on concentrated materials, in effect accepting that the policy of trying to add value to concentrate in the country to create jobs, etc., has failed. And you haven't told the country why why you have failed. So, clearly speaking, Ambassador, the boastful nature of what you have achieved in the last 4 years is insignificant to the cost of living and many of the other promises which you made to them that you would fulfill. One of these is load shedding. I mean, all the times we're talking about this. When there was 6 hours of load shedding 5 years ago, you said that this is because of the incompetence of the Lungu administration. You have been in power now for 2 years. We are witnessing a minimum load shedding for our neighborhoods of 12 hours. Where I live in State Lodge area, for the last 3 months, we've had no power from 6 to 6. And it only comes at night, okay? And in some areas of the country, it is even more than the 12 hours. And you have not given any hope to your voters that you will be able to deal with this issue when you had promised that you will be able to deal with it. So, in a nutshell, I think that the speech is not truthful. I think that the speech is one of those itemization of your own greatness and you beating your own chest of how great you are, when all of the other people who are looking at you beating your chest are looking at you as if there is something wrong with you. So that is my take on that speech. And I wish him luck if he believes that the majority of Zambians are on the same page with him regarding their achievements, because I can guarantee you that the people of Zambia have already made a decision that they know who they want, they don't know who they know who they don't want, and they are looking for who will be considered to be the next person they will elect. So that is my view on that.
I don't know what mechanism you are using as the opposition to come together. At least we know internal processes first have to take place, like you said. You are picking up leadership within yourself. The PF also is engaged in a similar leadership tussle, and that should culminate to then peers, leaders from political parties coming together to a table to attempt to pick one presidential candidate. But your thoughts, you've given a lot of thought to what is wrong.
Yeah.
What should be the solution? What should we look to? Why should Zambia think that the opposition will bring solution to the current various crises that we are facing?
A crisis. Let me just explain a little bit about the process that we have undertaken so far as the opposition. We have been meeting regularly with other opposition political parties. And the idea is that we have formed what we call thematic groups. And those thematic groups are some of the following. One, we have a thematic group that is currently working together in order to look at our various manifestos and to be able to select the best ideas from each of our manifestos and what each political party regards to be the minimum threshold of the things which they think needs to be achieved within the first 5 years of us forming government, should the Zambian people give us that opportunity. So that group is working, and we want to be able to consolidate and take the best. So for example, as I said earlier to you, one of the things that we, the Zambia, we want to make sure is in that manifesto is that the constitution has to be done by a referendum within the first 3 years. It's one of our lines that we want to be there. We also want to make it very clear to our colleagues that for us, as far as we are concerned, we think that the resource sharing of our tax revenue, of our means of production, of our minerals, of our rivers and our lakes, that we as the Zambian people do not have what we call an optimum share in this. And we want that to be reflected in a joint manifesto that we will have as an opposition. And I think all of the various political parties have got issues which they think are very critical to them and what they believe. So that is being done. There is a thematic group that is also looking at a social contract. I said earlier when I was here last that we have all decided that once we do come together, and I think that so far so good, that because the person who we will elect to be our flag bearer and eventually the president is not going to get there in their own steam or on their own merit, we have all agreed that we must have a social contract. And that in that social contract, we will itemize maybe the first critical 10 issues or 15 issues, which must be completed within a specific time frame, which whoever is going to be our flag bearer must be able to sign on a dotted line that I undertake by oath that we will be able to implement this thing during the duration that all of us have agreed. There have even been suggestions that we go to external organizations that are concerned about Africa developing. And one of those is the Mo Ibrahim Foundation. As you know, that the Mo Ibrahim Foundation has in the past been giving some sort of incentives to those presidents who govern well, and those who then, after they get out of power, they are given some sort of inducement. And we have said, perhaps we should go to the Mo Ibrahim Foundation, not to suggest that they should give us any money, not to suggest that they should come and reward whatever president we want, because we think that that is our responsibility, but to be able to be perhaps a witness or a signatory to something that is as fundamental as a social contract, so that we stop this nonsense of people making promises which they have no intentions of keeping whatsoever, without any form of retribution or without any form of other people saying, but you agree that this is what you are going to do. So there is a committee that is working on that social contract, and when it is done, we want to be able to present it to whoever we will choose to say sign it. We have already said, as a Zambia, we want that we are prepared to sign that document under whatever circumstances, as long as we are serious about making sure that we are going to implement the things that we think the Zambian people want to be implemented. So there is a thematic group working on that. There is also a thematic group that is now working on the modalities of selecting the flag bearer. So once all of us in our respective political parties have been able to identify their respective flag bearers, then we will undertake another process, which will then put all of our flag bearers, and maybe even others who are not part of the parties that are involved, and people maybe who are not president. Maybe there is even a person who is of good quality outside the political parties. As long as we have got a process that is transparent, which is open, which we think is intended for us to put the best person forward, then we will be able to have this criteria which we will all give allegiance to. So I've just listed 3 of some of the committees that are working to do this. Once all of that is done, then we will go to some sort of convention or congress or selection venue with the help of the public, so that we are able to pick the best person forward, and there we will have a contender. We will have a contender, I guarantee you, who will be more than enough match for the current president, and we think that under those circumstances we will definitely defeat him. So there is a lot of work going on. There is a secretariat that has been set up, which includes everybody, which includes the PF, colleagues in the PF, which includes colleagues in the Socialist Party, in the ULP, in the Heritage Party, in the various other political parties, including Jack Silavwe and Anfon Banda and so on. And we hope that this process will work. It's a tall order, my brother. It's a tall order. I don't want to create the impression that it's a done deal, but I think that we have been moving sequentially and systematically towards a resolution of finding that candidate. And I'm still very hopeful that within the next month or so, we will be able to unveil that. Obviously, if we fail, I think that this will be a tragic event. In conclusion, on this matter, you have seen that all of the statements that we have been making regarding our own electoral process in the Zambia we want have always concluded with the affirmation that we are doing so in full recognition and in support of all of the other incentives or all of the other tasks that are being carried on regarding ensuring that we do have a consolidated opposition.
Clearly, you have some priorities, and you've identified the Constitution as one of the key priorities that has to be done in the next 3 years. And of course, there are other priorities that you have to attend to. At this stage, dear viewers, this is an interactive program. I'll invite you to call Mr. Muhabi Lungu, who we are hosting today. He's just been elected as Secretary General of the Zambia we want, and he was sharing to us the process he engaged, and he also took time just to review the process, the state of our country. So I'll invite you to come and offer your views. The lines are open, and let's hear from you.
So we urge our citizens that they remain calm. We can see light at the end of the tunnel, and that tunnel is now becoming shorter by the day. As we speak, we now have unprecedented rains in the last maybe 2 decades. And with those rains, yesterday Cabinet was informed that load shedding is likely to begin to diminish by June 2025. This is because the major water catchment areas of northwestern province into the Barotse, plains, and now also the Kafue, flood plains. Water takes 3 months journey to move from Kaleni Hills, from Chavuma, into Victoria Falls, into Kariba. 3 solid months. Water moves very slowly in the plains because it's flat. This water which you see when it rains here in Lusaka, we are going for work at ZNBC. Then you find that water is running fast. It's here in Lusaka. But the water needed to change the electricity situation or the water level situation in the Kariba or Kafue Gorge, upper and lower, or Iteshiteji, moves very slow because once it gets to the plains are flat, so water velocity for overland flow of water is reduced.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba. I opt to remain anonymous as usual for fear of these tyrannical rules that they have brought back in our country. Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba, the first thing is to thank you for this program and the effort that you are putting up. Your efforts must indeed be appreciated and supported by everybody. Comrade Muhabi Lungu, good evening. And I want to seize this opportunity to congratulate you on your election as Secretary General. You are clearly the intelligentsia of this country. We need you more in our political landscape. We need people like you in our politics, people who have the pedigree. Now, Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba, I must first of all declare interest that by tribe, I'm Tonga myself. So when you play that audio, I was able to listen to everything that was being said. And I must say that I'm very ashamed. I'm very ashamed. And please keep on exposing them. I can't imagine that these are people who are busy jailing their friends for tribalism. I can't imagine. And I can't imagine what the president himself is thinking when he goes through such a thing. You know, we can't go back to the days where we started knowing each other in terms of tribe. It is a shame and a disgrace that it must be condemned in the strongest possible terms indeed. That in this day and age you can be talking about names of people instead of talking about merit and the qualifications. I condemned, I'm on record, Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba, condemning the naked tribalism of the Patriotic Front, and I'm also vehemently condemning the naked tribalism of the UPND. So these are issues that we must be able to condemn in the strongest possible term. This is why service delivery has become myopic and disastrous in Africa. Because instead of looking at how qualified somebody is, you are looking at somebody's tribe. And as a result, because you have employed your tribesmen, they are in these offices, even if they fail to perform, you are failing to fire them. This is the problem that we are facing. This is what has condemned us to perpetual underdevelopment and poverty, because we have got incompetent people who are appointed not on merit but on tribe. You appoint people on tribe, and as a result, you are failing to fire them. But are you not ashamed yourselves when you are in the offices, you find that the entire ministry, people are even stopped using English. They are using their tribes, because all of them in the office, in the ministry, all of them, they are Bemba. So why should they use English or other tribe? They are just using Bemba. In the entire ministry now, what is there? You find everybody's Tonga. And because everybody's Tonga, you hate them in the audio. Now they are using Tonga. Isn't that a shame and a disgrace? We are appealing to President Hakainde Hichilema to redeem himself from this. He is terribly dividing this country, like what KK had said. I am very ashamed, and it's a disgrace indeed that in this 21st century people could be looking at each other in terms of tribe like this. Mr. Muhabi Lungu, please, we expect you to add more fire to the political discourse of this country, and please, Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba, these are the men whom we should continue featuring repeatedly on this program, because he speaks a lot of sense. We need sense in this country. Thank you very much, Ambassador Emmanuel.
Thank you, my dear brother. Thank you.
I'm also aware of the electricity problems that Zambia is facing. But despite the problems that we have with the supply of electricity in Zambia, you still supply us with electricity. Again, you would have said, we cannot sacrifice our power when we have shortage. But you still give us. Katima Mlilo town, where I come from here, is supplied with power from Zambia. When you have a power outage here, we also have power outage. But that's the brotherhood we are talking about, the neighborhood we're talking about. And
thank you, callers. Please make your call. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Mwamba.
Good evening. I don't know if it is morning that side. Comrade Muhabi, Lungu, good evening.
Thank you. He can hear you.
I'm so grateful. My name is Kefas Mwapem Sonda, an advocate for industrialization and national development. Comrade Muhabi Lungu, I've followed your political track. You are a man that stands on the principles of one Zambia, one nation. You are a man that stands for the people. Now, we've had change of government. 2011, you were in MMD. MMD lost power to the Patriot Front. And we saw how the people lived during the 10 years of the Patriot Front. Now we are in the UPND. My question to you as the opposition, why should the Zambian people begin trusting you such that when the elections come in 2026 next year, you will not disintegrate and begin filing in for nomination as individual political parties? Number one. Number two, how best should the Zambian people trust you, the opposition? For we have seen that governments come with promises and at the end of it, or they fail to fulfill the promises. Now we are told that the issue to do with road shedding is something that we, the Zambian people, must find solutions. Whilst we were told when they were in opposition that we will never experience road shedding in Zambia. Where I'm staying in Kabwe, power comes at 10 hours. By 19 hours, power is gone. During the night, we do not have power. And even our expenditure towards electricity has gone up. We are spending more than 1,000 kwacha just for the month because we have to buy charcoal as well as lighting, just power for lighting. So I want you categorically to look at those issues. Thank you very much, Ambassador Mwamba, for considering me to call this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Callers, please call. It's your time. Let's hear from you. Let's hear your views. We are hosting Mr. Muhabi Lungu, newly Secretary General of the Zambia We Want. We want to hear your views. If you have any questions or contribution, this is a time to do it. We don't want you to come at the last minute when I'm allowing him to go. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
My name is Uncle Jay. I'm calling from America.
Uncle Jay, make your contributions.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Comrade Muhabi. Indeed, you've spoken to so many things, and this is good. I really commend you, and I continue to urge the opposition to unite. We really do not have a government that cares. We have a government that does not care for Zambians. We have a government that has divided us as a country. What we are hearing in this audio is just a peck. It's just giving us a bigger picture. All the institutions, all the parastatals, call it ZESCO, Zamtel, whatever it is that you may think about, every institution is actually functioning exactly the way this man was speaking from Ratsa. That is what you find. We can never have a country like this. For me, everything falls on the head of state. This is what has been agreed upon in UPND, and this should not continue as a nation. We are one big nation, united. All the 72 tribes are part of Zambia. But if we are going to have a situation where, for me to get a job, somebody has to look at my name instead of my qualification, then there is a problem. Look at the Ministry of Education. Check out the people that are heading these institutions. They are the same people on the tribal lines. So this cancer is bigger than what we think. And for me, we should begin to have a conversation, a real conversation, And they should not prosecute people that are calling it. They should begin prosecuting people that are practicing it. We are just calling it what it is. It is a bigger problem, and the president is aware of these issues. He cannot be mute. These have been going on in Zambia police. Just look at the hierarchy. It's the same. It's the same. So it is high time that us Zambians came together and began to have a real conversation with our brothers and sisters from these other regions. Let them understand that it is not about them. It's all of us for Zambia to develop. I thank you, Bamwamba. I'm really annoyed with that man.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, caller. Let me take some more calls to allow for you, our dear callers, to ask Honorable Muhabi Lungu. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name is Nyangwe Danny. I'm calling you from Canada.
Yes, Mr. Sinyangwe.
Congratulations to our Ambassador Muhabi Lungu for his appointment as the Secretary General. We wish him all the best, and we just like the way he puts things and articulates things. And then just my own call for him is Zambia needs you people. We are in a situation where we want to make many things right again. So the call is on you, Baba Muhabi Lungu. Wonse bantu balangana pali imwe na nzeru zanu zonse. Tusebenzele pamozi, because you know the battle that we have is not just for one person. So our core is we want you guys to be a united front as we face this battle that we are going to face in August. So put your ambitions, everyone that wants to be leaders. We have so many leaders, but we can only have one person to challenge the person that is the leader of this country. So thank you, Ambassador Mwamba, for always having this time. And we also want to thank Balungu Zikomo.
Thank you. Hello, caller. We have another caller on the line. Hello, caller. This caller is hanging. It could be the network, but they're already there. We'll see. Let me just take some more calls, maybe two or more, then allow my dear brother Muhabi Lungu to answer. Let me just take two more calls.
I'm also aware of the electricity problems that Zambia is facing. But despite the problems that we have with the supply of electricity in Zambia, you still supply us with electricity. Again, you would have said we cannot sacrifice our power when we have shortage. But you still give us. Katima Mlilo town, where I come from here, is supplied with power from Zambia.
Caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador Mwamba.
Good evening.
This is Concern. Yes. Secretary General, good evening.
He can hear you, thank you.
All right. I know from his storied history, especially as a young man, he played quite a pivotal role as a youth in the formation of a multitude of people who stood firm and united to fight against what was the Kaunda regime and the UNIP regime in 1991. I'd like to encourage him because he's taken the right path. Secretary General, you've taken the right path in insisting on unity, insisting that we should have a singular and united front, but also just to say to him, what learnings, what insights, what challenges did you have in putting all these disparate people together and making a united front? And what can you put to the table that can ensure that as we go into 2026, we are able to face these hurdles, go over them and unite and have a winning path? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me bring in Honorable Muhabi Lungu to answer to some of the questions that have risen.
Okay, I think let me start with the last one. Because my brother was just encouraging me, and I'm grateful for the encouragement. But he also posed a question about what challenges do we think that we have in terms of making this dream a reality. Now, obviously, one doesn't want to operate from the premise that there are no challenges, because obviously, whenever you want to achieve something that is good, invariably you will face some challenges. And in doing so, I just want to quickly perhaps look at some of the issues which I did not look at the last time I was here when I was trying to argue for the cases where there is requirement for opposition unity. And that is some of the challenges. So I had dealt with I think 4 or 5 last one. Let me just quickly go through another maybe 3. One of the reasons why it is very important that we come together as an opposition is it will be easier for us to raise the necessary resources to effectively campaign in the next 11 months. As many of you may know, it is extremely difficult to raise resources for a campaign. And what has been happening in our country in the past is that the funders of political parties have usually been either external agencies, external individuals who then demand for their share of the cake, and sometimes they demand for a bigger share of the cake when you get into power. Or it has been a few selected businessmen, which we know, and women in the country, again, who then make their own demands when you do form government. So we have been saying that if it is possible for us to unify and carry a cause that is the cause for Zambians, we think that we will be able to convince our Zambian citizens to be part of the process of raising money for these campaigns. Because for any of us to travel from Lusaka to Kaputa, or from Lusaka to Zambezi East, it requires an enormous amount of resources. And none of us in our own individual rights have got those resources. And so a collection of one will give the opportunity to Zambians to be able to finance this thing, because it is our collective fight. So that is one reason. The second reason, I think I'll just give 3, because then I might take too long not to answer the question. The second proposition is this, that in this country, since we went into a multi-party system, there has been a relationship that has been created between the leaders of political parties and their cadres. And there is a very significant portion, not all of them, but there is a significant portion of cadres who game the system, who pit all of us against each other. So sometimes the leaders may be willing to work together, but some of the political cadres who have now made it their aim to survive will try to create a situation between me and Harry, between Saki and Fred, so that they will come to you and say, oh, Mr. Lungu, how great you are. You are the only one ever in the history. Give me some money. And usually they are not that careless, but they can cause you to believe that you are the only one they love. And they will go to the next leader and so the same. So you have a situation where in many of the districts, you have got political cadres who sometimes belong to 3 or 4 different parties, depending on who comes. And what we have been, and all of us have acknowledged that. And we have said that if we come together, we will be able to sieve out those political cadres who have made it their lives to basically just delude both the leaders as well as the people. Now, I have to be very careful. As I said, not all, in fact, the majority of cadres mean to stay in the political parties they are. But we have maybe as large as 20%. And those people have created a distortion in the way politics is done in this country. And coming together will reveal some of those who have been dishonest and have created a slippage in terms of getting the political parties to go forward. And of course, lastly, there are some people who have said that, and this is very negative, but I've heard these comments, particularly from the UPND, who have said, how can a person who's getting 0 and another one who's getting 0 and another one who's getting 0, when they get together, how will they make 50 plus 1? because 3 zeros is equal to 0. That is not true. The political process is dependent on you creating a Chimwela. And if there are 10,000 of you, the amount of Chimwela that you will create, as opposed to 10 of you, is infinitely bigger. And the history of politics everywhere in the world depends on the level of enthusiasm and the interest that you generate in your voters in order for them to ensure that their grievances is felt in the ballot box. And so one of my lecturers, Dr. Donald Chanda, said to us the first time he gave us a lecture, he says, you see, in science 1 + 1 is 2. But in political science and in all things to do with the humanities, 1 + 1 may not necessarily be 2, because one woman and one man can result in 10 children. Okay, so the analogy of 0 + 0 = 0 is not a correct analogy. I think that if we work together, we will be able to develop a Chimwela that will be able to bring as many people as possible who feel that we need a change of government to come forward. So that is one. That is the last question. The first question, Ambassador, was basically congratulations to me, and he lamented about the ethnic problem. He said he was ashamed. He said that he was a Southerner himself. He was a Tonga. As I said, I'm very disappointed because in many ways I might as well say that I'm a Tonga myself. And it wouldn't be an exaggeration, because I've said I am so deeply initiated and so deeply surrounded by Southern people because of my relations to them that it sometimes feels painful to discuss this matter. So yes, I agree with that. That is very bad. Kefas raised a very important question about trust. He said that how will we ensure that those of you who are saying give us the opportunity to govern, how do we ensure that we will trust you? He says, how do we ensure that you will not change? And my answer to this is that we as the political players, we as the political environment in our country that includes both politicians, cadres, as well as the voters, have to agree that in the past we have cultivated an environment by which we have allowed manipulators to become the winners in the political process. So there are studies that have been done in Europe, in the US, and others that say, and this is a very important point, that say that in any society, in any group of people, that 80% of the people are followers. 10% of the people are where leadership comes from. And then there may be 5 to 10% of people who are just observers and they don't want to get interested. Now, in that 10% which is very critical, this is where there are either heroes or villains. Whether there will be leaders or manipulators. The type of soil that you cultivate as a republic, the type of soils that you cultivate as the voters, depends on what sort of 10% you will germinate. So societies that succeed, societies that thrive, societies that progressively develop are those where you cultivate that the majority of those people in the 10% are either leaders or heroes. In the past, in this country, we have tended to create an environment where manipulators and villains are the ones that are rewarded. So be careful of Greeks bringing gifts. Be careful of people who are good at just making promises without being held accountable for what they will achieve. One of the reasons why we are suggesting that there should be a social contract that all of us should be able to sign is because we want to be able to change this behavior in our country where the 10% where the leaders are supposed to come from, you find that it is the villains that come. That is something that you as the voters, observers, and us who are in politics, either at the level of leadership or at the level of cadres, should know that you, the people, will not forgive us if we make promises which we can't keep. And the beginning, in my view, will be to ensure that we do this for 2026. The last question was from Uncle Jay, who again was saying that the situation is quite bad, and that in fact the video that we heard is not only to do with Ratsa. And he was saying that from his understanding that this is taking place in many other institutions. And I think that that is really true, and we have to change that. And lastly, I think that there was a comment from Daniel that was talking about the need for us to get together. I assure you, Daniel, that many of us, and not only just me, that many of the political parties are very desirous of what we are doing, and we hope that it's going to succeed. We're doing everything possible to ensure that this sees the light of day. So we are working on it. We are praying on it. I am a Christian myself. Although I don't go around, trying to pretend that I'm the most holiest of persons, but I have taken this to my God. And I have knelt down on my knees, and I have begged my God that for the sake of our country, for the sake of our people, for the sake of the leadership role that Zambia has always exhibited since independence, that if there is any country in the southern region which requires peace, which requires magnanimity, which requires unity, which requires a government of national unity in which every member of all the ethnic groups in this country, whether you are Lozi, whether you are Tonga, whether you are Ngoni, whether you are Bemba, whether you are Kachokwe, whether you are Lunda, Kaonde, that all of us should feel that we are a part of this country. Nobody should feel that they have been alienated from their country. And when we speak about one Zambia, one nation, that every one of us should truly believe that we are a part of the whole. And so, Daniel, I assure you that we are working with everybody, and we are very determined to ensure that this happens. It would be the most unfortunate of things to happen if we do not succeed. And I'm afraid that you as a people will not forgive us as politicians if we cannot put aside our greed and our wanting to be president for the sake of promoting the affairs of the country. I think I've answered all of those.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, good evening, Ambassador Mwamba. I'll remain Mrs. Anonymous from the AI Kingdom. And good evening, Mr. Muhabi Lungu. Sometimes when you come on this platform, we sit and hear you speak, we get excited. May I take this opportunity also to, congratulate you for winning that Secretary General position that you won yesterday. It shows that people have confidence in you, and they're looking forward to seeing you deliver on a number of issues from your party point of view. And also we look forward to having you champion the unit that we are calling, as everyone is calling, a unit of purpose to bring everybody together. So we are so grateful that you managed to get that. I know I listened to your conversation with Ambassador Mwamba. One of the things that you've highlighted are the issues of, different people from the different opposition parties working together in different thematic areas that you have focused on. Having looked at what is going on today, I think when you watch the elections from Malawi and see the outcome and so forth, and when you see the messages from our praise singers, because we need to look at the comparison and so forth, and the way they are coming out to say, yeah, you can't compare Malawi to Zambia, because for Zambia, I think it brings me to the point I want to bring out for you, opposition party, how you are tackling the issue of how are we dealing with the issue of ECZ as opposition party? Because when you look at the sentiments that the press singers are bringing out, they're saying that Malawi is different, meaning they've put strategic things in place that will not make our current president lose the elections but win the elections. And those are some of the things we have to pay attention to. I know, being the person you are, you must have seen an article that was written by Shishua, where he highlighted a lot of issues on how President HH and his government are tilting in running the 2026 elections with victory and so forth. So as you are working, I want to bring to attention such kind of I think deliberations or articles from people like Shishua, you look at those things. I'm also looking at there's a leaked document which the UPND themselves have put in place. And when you look at that document, I'll state that they're fighting that they have to do Bill 7. And I think that's why we are seeing that they have to make sure that Bill 7 goes through. So as united opposition, I want to bring to your attention such kind of thing to say, kindly pay attention, let those thematic areas, depending on which one specifically has been assigned to look at those things, to really be looking at such kind of thing. We don't want to take back to we don't want to take Zambia back to the hands of UPND and them, so that they take us backwards, like they are now doing with the issues of tribalism. Like just Keke said it, that this is the only person who's going to divide this nation, and this is where we are today. Chimba Kambwili is in prison for saying what he said. Today we can say Chimba Kambwili is a prophet because he prophesied what we are seeing today. But where is he? He's in prison. The people who have been practicing tribalism are anywhere, arrested and so forth. So it's unfortunate we are at the point like that, and I just wish to encourage you to work very well with the other synergies here and there that are bringing out issues that should bring this government down. Like I've indicated, Shua's article, we have Curtis Ngoma's articles, we've got the leaked document. Please, we want you to pay attention to those so that we safeguard our votes as Zambians, because we do really need to protect our votes. We need the wind of change that started in America, in Botswana, in Malawi now, and it has to come to Zambia. Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Other caller, we have another caller. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yeah, good evening, Ambassador Mamba. Zephania is my name. I'm calling from Lusaka. Congratulations, SG Muhabi Lungu. My concern is that we have been preaching about unity in opposition. I am now getting worried. I'll be very categorical to call out my brother Sean Tembo, who has now become like a cancer, whereby instead of fighting how we are going to win this 2026 general election,
Zephania, avoid attacking other opposition leaders. I think just get to the question or contribution in relation to the guest. And if you want to attack other leaders, maybe use general terms, call for unity or stuff like that. Let's just make the program decent.
All right, no, all what I wanted was, I wanted just to build my case, then I call for unity. Because what is needed, thank you for that guidance, Ambassador Mam. But what is needed now is unity among the opposition party. Zambians are ready to change the way Malawians have proven. And history, it will always tell us that when Malawi has made a change, automatically Zambians, we are also going to make a change. That's the way it is. And what I'm trying to say is that I'll call upon now Comrade Muhabi Lungu, since now you are the Secretary General of the party of the Zambia you want, please continue speaking for unity, because Zambians are looking up to opposition leaders to be united. And if we are not united as as opposition, we are now trying to show Zambians that we are not ready to govern, and that it will give appetite to UPND to even to rig the elections. Because if you have seen UPND cadres, they are very confident and they are saying they are going to be in power for up to 2090. Where do they get that confidence? Meaning there are something which is happening at ECZ, and the game changer is not to allow the Bill 7 to go back into Parliament, and we are going to achieve that immediately. Bill 7 is passed. We are going to see, we want to see this victory we are talking about, because most of our leaders, potential leaders, will be jailed. So unity is paramount. We are urging all opposition parties, please, opposition parties, stop insulting each other, come together and build one thing so that people of Zambia can have confidence, and they will have confidence. The Zambian people are waiting. They are just waiting for a signal. Everything is on fire. I have been on grassroots. I've moved around this country. Zambians are saying we are waiting for opposition to give us a leader. I want to thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that should be our last call, just to allow our guests to wind up and give his thoughts. Honorable Muhabi Lungu, let's go to our callers. I thought, okay, maybe I give this one as the last caller, sorry. Let me just take the last call. Hello, caller, please. You are our last caller. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Mwewa from Livingston.
Yes, Mwewa. You are our last caller. Ask your question or contribution.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hello.
To the position of for the Zambia we want. I would want to comment something, Mamba, concerning the audio from Ratsa, from the Ratsa boss, who is really promoting for him. Now, we must understand one thing. Mr. Kamburi is in jail because of the same. And then also, when the Bill 7 failed, you heard what the complaint that the president had put across. It was in relation to the same. Now, I don't understand why people should still continue talking about tribe, especially in the 21st century. The intermarriages are there, not tribalism. In churches, we are in the same churches. At school, in the same classes.
Mwape, today your line is very bad. Maybe try to call back. Your line is very bad. We can barely get you. Maybe let me in this place, let me get this caller. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Greetings, Ambassador Mwamba. This is Pumulos Tumbekov calling from California.
Oh, Queen Pumi. Welcome, Queen Pumi.
Thank you. Honorable Muhabi Lungu, it's an honor to listen to you and tap into your great wealth of knowledge. And congratulations for your election. My key concern is the Bill 7. I think the whole of Zambia, our main focus should be to ensure that we stop Bill 7 in its tracks, because if this Bill 7 goes through, we will have no election to talk about. The election will be there, it will be a rubber stamp. I bring you to the attention of Article 52 in Bill 7, which literally protects the presidency from corruption charges it will allow the election to go through, even if a candidate drops out. Basically, Article 52 removes the power from the people to the presidency. So it is a very dangerous bill. So my question is, what are you doing as a united opposition to ensure that this Bill 7 falls flat? And then on the social contract, that is very exciting to hear. And I think I have a lot of questions on the social contract, but again, it also depends on the Bill 7, because if the Bill 7 goes through, I think we might not even have anything to talk about, because we would have basically handed the country into one party rule or into the dictatorship of the president, Hakainde Hichilema. And I'll come and talk briefly on my question on this leaked audio by the Ratsa. I think Zambians really, we are being taken for granted. And I don't know why the people on the ground, they are not, going to the streets. I'm not advocating violence or whatever, just even a peaceful demonstration, because this is, that audio is evidence of what is going on in the country. All our top ministries, institutions, they are all lined up with people from one region who constitute only 13% of the population. So this is actually, very, very disheartening. It's sad. And my other question is on the candidate that you're going to pick. I just want the opposition or the Zambians to put a candidate there who will energize voters, motivate voters to go and vote. But before I get to that, there's another point of ECZ. They announced that there is a mass voter registration. So I'm asking what the opposition is doing to ensure that people turn out to register and vote. Because if people don't register to vote, then there'll be a problem when 2026 comes. People would not have registered to vote. So I think it is key that we really focus on maybe door-to-door campaign, have notebooks. We have heard that in these regions where there is a massive voter turnout, even one chairman, a clinic, if someone is a civil servant, they have a book of whom is in their constituency, and they go door to door to ensure everybody has registered to vote. So we need to map out a massive voter registration exercise beginning next month. Because if we don't ensure our people go out to register to vote and get NRCs, then we'll lose. And also, let us also encourage our voters, if there's any malpractices where they are trying to disadvantage voters, giving them a faulty, maybe NRC with the wrong number, let us collect numbers of those officers, public officers who are being used to disqualify voters by giving them erroneous documents. So I think these are the things that right now we need to do. Otherwise, we have lost it. So voter registration is key. We need to hammer on this, and then Bill 7. Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you, Queen
Thank
Pumi.
you. Yes.
She's a leader of an opposition party herself, and it's good that she has brought that. Caller, you are now my last call, and I hope it's... hello, caller.
Hello, Ambassador. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Zulu. I'm calling you from Zambia.
Yes, Mr. Zulu.
To be specific.
Yes, Mr. Zulu,
Yes,
from
I'm
Lundazi.
I'm the former UPND candidate for the position of council chairperson.
Okay.
Yes, I've read the Zambia We Want Constitution extensively, and I would like Honorable Muhabi Lungu to speak to Article 81 of the Constitution, because some of us who have been left out by the party would like to join this party, because the Article 81 is the umbrella of unity in Zambia. I want him to read the article and speak to it. Thank you very much.
Article what, my brother? Which article?
Article 81 of the Constitution on page 77.
Page 77, Article 81. Oh, you seem to have someone who has really read the document. Let's start with that answer. The cause will not stop. It's up to us now to regulate. I'm so sorry, Bamwape from Livingston hasn't called. I thought he was the one calling. Maybe start with that particular article, Honorable Muhabi Lungu, then you answer the other questions, then we go to your last remarks, and we close the program.
Okay. Thank you very much for all the questions. I will start with the beginning. First of all, I must say I'm quite impressed. I'm very impressed that Mr. Zulu has read this and has gone to the specific article. I was even trying to figure out what is in Article 81. So let me read it. Fortunately, I brought it here. This is Article 81 on page 77 of our Constitution. It says, alliances, Article 81. The party may enter into alliances with other political parties on such terms and conditions as shall be determined by the National Leadership Council. That was Article 81.1. Article 81.2 says, in the event that the party enters into an alliance, the party may, through a decision of the National Leadership Council, resolve to support a presidential candidate and or a running mate from another political party for any election for president and or vice president of the Republic of Zambia. You know, so that is Article 81. And clearly you can see that this constitution of the Zambia we want, which was launched in February, took into consideration what our beliefs are regarding which direction we need to go for our country. And we didn't want to begin to enter into talks about alliances without ensuring that we had made a provision of it within our constitution. And so really this is proof that in as far as the Zambia we want is concerned, we believe that this must be a fundamental part of everything that we do from here going forward. In fact, for us, we believe that even after the elections have been had, whether we win or we lose, and obviously I hope and we will work towards winning, we believe that our political system in this country needs to mature. It is too immature, it is too fragmented, and it leaves a very bad taste in our mouth because we have not been able to increase it from where we started in 1991. In fact, we have declined. So thank you for that. That is our view. Am I permitted to answer, or are we receiving further calls?
No.
I can proceed?
The calls are still running. The calls are still coming. Let's just... you can answer the ones you've received.
All right. So,
and then we go to closing remarks.
Yeah. So that was the last one, which it was question 10. Let me go back to question 6, which was from a lady. I didn't pick up the name because the phone, I think, jumped when she said I'm Mrs. Someone. But I think that what she was most concerned about is to say that we must pay attention. We must pay attention to the machinations of the UPND that are obviously trying to do everything possible so that they can possibly cheat their way back into office. We are not going to allow that. We're going to do everything possible to ensure that that is not done. And she specifically referred to the leaked document on their strategic plan, which has been shared to me by a number of people, including some people from the UPND themselves, and we are looking at it. And she also mentioned Dr. Sishua. And I want to be able to say to you, Madam, that we speak quite often with Dr. Sishua. And we exchange views. He's a very intelligent man and a very brave soul. And I have said this to him on countless numbers of times, particularly by the fact that he comes from a region where he is being accused of being a traitor, which I think is very sad. I mean, we shouldn't behave like that in Zambia. I recall many years back when someone was trying to push me to vote for General Tembo. And the reasons that was being given to me that I should follow General Tembo was on the basis that he came from Lundazi like myself, and that on this basis I should support him. And I told him that I can never support an individual simply because they are from the same tribe with me. That if they are doing wrong, I will point it out. If I think that they are not capable of being president, I will point it out. I am going to support a person from whatever part of this country who is capable and is qualified and has got the heart of Zambian in his heart or in her heart. Okay? So I'm with you, Madam. We are going to make sure that we are watchful. The second concern was from Zephaniah, who also I speak to quite regularly. In fact, I think that Zephaniah would confirm that we had a meeting last week when we just exchanged some views. And I do agree with him, although we don't want to point to particular individuals within the opposition. But I think that we must not run away from the fact that there are certain individuals within the opposition that sometimes are able to restrain themselves. I think that all of us do make mistakes, and sometimes there are genuine misunderstandings between us. And the only thing that I can encourage is that even for those names who have been mentioned, that all of us behave the way my brother Harry behaved, because people might think that I'm the one who reached out to him. And as I said to you, that he reached out to me, and I was very touched by that gesture. And I said that he is a mature individual who, even though we have questioned each other, that we are prepared to forgive each other and move on. So I do very much hope that those individuals that have been perhaps creating a bit of difficulties because maybe of some misunderstandings can all come to the same table, and that we can achieve this thing, which is very important for our country. The eighth question, I believe, was muffled. I think it was Mwape. I put Mwape or Mwewa because I wasn't very sure whether I was hearing correctly, and I have to admit that I didn't hear the question. So I apologize for that. And of course, the last one was from Pumulos Tumbeko. And again, I thank you very much, Madam Stumbeko, for the kind words that you have used in my regard. And certainly, it is all, I'm humbled. But I do want to agree with you entirely that there is an existential crisis, not only in regard to division in our country, but also to constitutionalism. This issue that deals with Bill 7, as you rightly put it, can destroy the entire future country. And the fact that President HH and the UPND are so determined to bring it back, even when it is very clear from the majority of the people of Zambia, from the Law Association of Zambia, to the Constitutional Court of Zambia, to the church mother bodies, to all the political parties, even to the various civic organizations. They have made it very clear why it is that the government and HH wants to bring it back is absolutely unspeakable. I can't understand it. Nobody can understand it, save to say that they think that their redemption into keeping office is in creating an unfair atmosphere for which there is greater leverage for the head of state. And this we will not allow. And I can assure you, Madam Stumbeko, that we are going to do everything in our power as a collective of the opposition to ensure that this thing does not come to light. we are going to do everything possible that we possibly can within the law. And within the normal acceptable parameters that we as Zambians think we need to do in order to defeat a government. And we've done it on so many occasions. But lastly, let me just make a comment on, well, maybe not lastly, the social contract. I'm glad that it excites you. It excites me too. And I think that it should excite as many of us as possible. And I hope that as many Zambians as possible can continue to push this idea over social contracts for which we as opposition leaders can be held accountable. I think that it is really, really important for us to make a dramatic change towards us as politicians fulfilling the undertakings that we have promised the people that we will be able to fulfill. And I was going to say that lastly, you talked about Zambian people taking to the streets. You know, we Zambians are built a little bit differently than, say, South Africans or Kenyans who easily go to the street. We Zambians will talk and talk and talk and hope that the government will listen. No matter how strong and dictatorial a government is, we will talk and talk and talk and hope that the government would listen. When we think that the government is unable to listen to us, what we do as a people is we just go silent. And we begin to organize quietly and we pingila you. And this is the Nyanja way, timamu pingilani, baboma. And we wait until the day of voting and we show you that you are in fact not stronger than we are. That is the way we Zambians behave. So if you see silence, it is like silence before the storm. It is like a calm before the storm. They say that still waters run deep. That is the way we Zambians behave. Now, that doesn't mean that we're weak. It doesn't mean that we are too passive. It means that we have developed a system of teaching the government when they are wrong. And I guarantee you that that is the reason why we have to ensure that we have to do everything possible as a united opposition to ensure that we create the platform by which the Zambians are able to speak out and determine their future. Except this time, we don't want just to remove him, but we want to remove him and replace him with a government that is bound by a social contract. I thank you.
Wonderful. Give your closing remarks. Probably provide hope. Our people are in despair, just like you've just stated that, you know, calm waters run deep. They're clearly in despair. And when they hear the machinations regarding the Electoral Commission of Zambia, the judiciary and parliament, sometimes they despair that maybe their efforts will be, you know, fruitless. In your closing remarks, give hope that that day will come when Zambia will be emancipated.
Yeah. The evidence that is available in Zambia is that in the Southern African region, there are only two countries. In the whole of the Southern African region, there are only two countries that have been able to defeat three governments and throw them out of power regardless or irregardless of whatever machinations that government was trying to do. That we in this country are the leaders showing governments that no matter how much power they think that they have, that the people will always triumph. And I am hopeful that we will be able to unite as an opposition and work together with our people. I am hopeful that our people will encourage us to get together so that we may be able to present a front for the benefit of the people of Zambia. So there is definitely hope. I think that we have got more than enough men and women of quality that can be stood up against HH and look better, sound better, are more qualified, are more experienced, and will be able to govern far better than HH and the UPND. And I think, and I believe, and we will promote that in this country, once we form government, it will be a government of national unity. And what I mean by national unity is that the next government We will not behave as this government or the previous government in as far as it concerns national unity. We will be able to ensure that we create a system by which every Zambian, no matter where you are from, you will feel that you are a part of this country. Even if you are from the southern province, even if you are from the northwestern, western, eastern, central, every one of us, nobody will want to take any revenge or retribution. We will have a new fresh start where every one of us will be a part of Mother Zambia. I can guarantee you that is one of the reasons why we want a social contract, and we want that issue of national unity to be part of that social contract. And I'm grateful, Ambassador Mwamba, for this invitation. I am grateful for my colleagues who elected me as Secretary General. I look forward to the Zambia we want unveiling its presidential candidate on Tuesday and its new National Executive Committee. And as this constitution says, we are determined to ensure that the game that we will play going forward is about peers and bringing everybody together. Because this is not about Muhabi Lungu, this is about our country.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank newly elected Secretary General of the Zambia We Want, Mr. Muhabi Lungu. And thank you, Muhabi Lungu, for coming in the midst of your conference and convention. And I know you have so many people waiting for you, but you took time, to come and be with us. We are grateful. We never take that for granted. To our dear viewers, thank you for your cause. Thank you for your contributions. And to the others that are still calling, it's unfortunate that, but you can put, the conversation goes on. It's Facebook, it's TikTok, it's X. Just make your comments and register. But of course, we love live interaction through your phone call. So thank you very much. You make the program work. You make the program tick. So until next time, Mr. Muhabi Lungu, bring your president. When your president is elected, I hope that you will bring your president here, your presidential candidate, and maybe you come with the chairperson. Let's come and have a further discussion. But thank you very much, and thank you for the work you are doing to help unite the opposition. So God bless you, and God give you more wisdom. So to our dear viewers, thank you very much. Let's begin to end the program. For those that are calling, just pen your views. We will still get them. We have to allow Mr. Muhabi Lungu and the team to, they are to certain premises. They have to be allowed to go. So thank you very much. God bless you, and God bless our country.
Pamono wamfui ichikalamba mano ingo umukulu pawa michene no walupala ne myemfu pamono wamfui ichikalamba mano.
The mathematician. So I issued an instruction with Muna. Muna, he got a distinction in mathematics. So I asked Madam Chira. I didn't want to interfere. You see, me, I can't interfere directly with the recruitment. So we have Chira. That no, the one who came second first is this one. So I called after Madam Chira. I said, okay. I called Muna. That Muna, and I'm the one. This guy. I don't know him, but he brought his certificates early this year to me. And then me and Muna, before Chilara started or everything, me and Muna looked at his CV. It was brilliant. So Muna travel to recruit for Waganchere. Make sure. So now I'm going to remind him, that's the guy, I forgot it. So he went there and sorted it out. Go,
Good record.
The planning and monitoring officer, yeah.
Yes.
Well, what do you even Lungu wherever. Imagine. No, they got one there. They said, "Mona, with this one we're not leaving. We're going to move it." So they demoted the one who was number 1 to number 2. Oga wanso muga into it. Then damwambira ndamwita realist yagareti.
Oh, it's a petition.
But would you pata northern party? I said, "Madam, look at that list. What's wrong with it?" But it's okay, sir. So,
are you sure?
Yeah, so Ndamba, are you okay with that list, madam? But these are the ones that were shortlisted. Ndamba, madam, look at the names. Zambia doesn't come from the east and the west and the north alone. That's when she looked again. Remember, I didn't realize that. So she took the list. I said, no. I said, you know what, madam, Zambia is more diverse than that, and I'm not signing off something like that. I'm tolo. So she took the file away last week. Remember, we'll have a look again. Yeah, and I know that list was
Mona used this car. His Ford Ranger. That's how we went. So madam
Oh, is that so?
For sure.
Oh. Okay, but that's why he's there, Mona, to make sure that everything is sorted out. Because
position.
Wamana. They will consolidate. Yes. No, that one I'll make sure that we will. What's her name? You know that the 2 officers now that are there, once in Batok, the HR officers, Jijila Rabanda, Amuga Intuani,
that one
will be key. Yeah, no, I will make sure. I will reject until they get the right person.
Yes.
Wherever we have to lock it, I would say you, we need somebody from.
That's a very important department. Nishi one man actually gonna muntu wakumbwa mahaha muntu wamwambira fakanimu konya nkubweke kinani kuli fakanimu
the one who was
umukulupa wa micheneno walupala nemyemfu pamono wamfwi ichikalamba mano ingo umukulupa wa micheneno walupala nemyemfu pamono wamfwi ichikalamba mano